The envelope hit the table like a judge's gavel. Daniel Carter stared at the number printed in cold black ink. $73,000. Medical bills, legal fees, the kind of debt that doesn't just hurt, it buries you alive. He was standing in the lobby of Riverside General Hospital, and every eye in that waiting room was on him. The billing clerk had raised her voice just loud enough, not yelling, worse, pitying. Mr. Carter, if you can't establish a payment plan today, we'll have no choice but to forward this to collections. You understand what that means for your daughter's ongoing treatment. His hands trembled. Emma, 6 years old. Leukemia in remission, but the follow-ups, the medications, the specialist visits, none of it was free, and none of it was covered anymore. Not after he lost his job 3 months ago when the construction company went under. I just need more time, he said quietly. His voice cracked. He hated that. He hated the weakness in it. The clerk sighed. I'm sorry, we've given you extensions. If you can't pay, we have to involve the courts. Courts. The word landed like a stone in his chest, because it wasn't just the hospital anymore. His ex-mother-in-law, Margaret, had already filed for emergency custody. She'd told the judge he was unstable, unfit. A man drowning in debt couldn't possibly care for a sick child. And maybe she was right. He turned to leave, shoulders hunched, shame burning through him like acid. That's when he saw her. A woman stood near the glass doors watching him. Tall, elegant, expensive coat, sharp eyes. She didn't look away when he met her gaze. She looked at him like she was deciding something, and then she walked toward him. Before we continue, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I love knowing how far these stories reach. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Now, let's see what this stranger wants from a man who has nothing left to give. Daniel didn't recognize her. That was the first thing that registered. In a town like Riverside, you knew faces. You knew who belonged to money and who didn't. This woman, she didn't just have money. She wore it like armor. Excuse me, she said. Her voice was smooth, controlled. The kind of voice that never had to ask twice. You're Daniel Carter. It wasn't a question. He blinked. Do I know you? No, but I know enough. She glanced at the envelope still clutched in his hand. 73,000. That's what they're holding over your head. Heat rushed to his face. That's none of your business. You're right, it's not. She paused and something shifted in her expression. Not pity, calculation. But I have a problem, Mr. Carter, and I think you might be the solution. He stared at her. Lady, I don't know what you think I can do for you, but I need a husband. The words hung in the air between them like a dare. Daniel almost laughed. Almost. But there was nothing funny in her eyes. I'm serious, she continued, pulling a business card from her purse and handing it to him. Victoria Ashford, CEO, Ashford Holdings. The name hit him like a freight train. The Ashfords owned half the county. Hotels, real estate. Old money that made new money look like pocket change. You're insane, he said flatly. Possibly. She didn't smile. But I'm also desperate. And so are you. Victoria gestured toward the hospital cafe. 5 minutes, hear me out. If you're not interested, you never see me again. Daniel should have walked away. Should have told her to find someone else to play games with. But Emma's face flashed in his mind. The way she'd held his hand during the last chemo session, even though she was the one in pain. The way she still smiled when he read her bedtime stories, even though he could see the fear in her eyes every time she asked if the cancer would come back. He followed Victoria to a corner table. She didn't waste time. My grandfather died 6 months ago. He left me his entire estate, $12 billion. But there's a condition. I have to be married by my 30th birthday, or everything goes to charity. I turn 30 in 72 hours. Daniel frowned. So marry someone. You're rich, good looking, can't be that hard. It's not about finding someone willing. It's about finding someone I can trust. She leaned forward. My parents have been trying to control me my entire life. They've already picked out a man, Richard Langford. He's 45, cruel, and completely under their thumb. If I marry him, I lose everything that matters. My freedom, my company, my future. So pick someone else. Someone from your world. I don't trust my world, Mr. Carter. Everyone I know wants something from me. They see dollar signs, not a person. Her jaw tightened. But you don't even know who I am. You're not here because you want my money. You're here because you're drowning, and you'd do anything to save your daughter. The truth of it stung. What exactly are you asking? He said slowly. A contract marriage. 1 year. We get married publicly. We attend events together. We make it look real. After a year, we divorce quietly. You walk away with $500,000. Enough to pay off your debts, secure Emma's treatment, and start over. Daniel's heart hammered. 500,000. It was more money than he'd see in 10 lifetimes. And what do you get? He asked. My inheritance, my independence, and my parents off my back. Why me? Victoria hesitated. For the first time, something vulnerable flickered across her face. Because you have something to lose, that makes you predictable, controllable. She paused. And because when I watched you in that lobby, you didn't yell, you didn't make excuses. You just stood there and took it. That tells me you're someone who keeps his word, even when it costs you everything. Daniel looked down at his hands. Rough, calloused. Hands that built things, fixed things. Hands that used to provide. This is insane, he muttered. It's business. What about your parents? They'll never buy it. They don't have to buy it. They just have to tolerate it long enough for the inheritance to transfer. After that, it doesn't matter what they think. Daniel shook his head. I'm a construction worker. I barely finished high school. Your parents will eat me alive. Let them try. There was steel in her voice now. I'm not asking you to impress them. I'm asking you to stand next to me for 12 months and not run. He met her eyes. And what happens to Emma? She comes with you. I have a 10-bedroom house, plenty of space. Private school if you want it. Medical care. Whatever she needs. She's been through enough. I won't drag her into some fake life. Victoria's expression softened just slightly. Then don't make it fake. Be her father. Let me be. Someone who helps. I'm not asking you to lie to her. I'm asking you to give her stability. Safety. Isn't that what you want? It was. God help him, it was. I need to think about it, Daniel said. Victoria nodded. You have 24 hours. After that, I'll find someone else. She stood, smoothing her coat. But Mr. Carter, I've already had my lawyers draw up the contracts. I've already transferred $50,000 into an escrow account to cover Emma's immediate medical bills, whether you say yes or not. Consider it a gesture of good faith. She walked away before he could respond. Daniel sat there for a long time, staring at the business card in his hand. That night, Daniel sat on the edge of Emma's hospital bed. She was asleep, her small chest rising and falling steadily. The machines beeped softly. Normal. Stable. For now. He brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. I don't know what I'm doing, baby girl, he whispered. But I'm going to keep you safe. I promise. The next morning he called the number on the card. Victoria answered on the first ring. Mr. Carter. I'll do it, he said. But we do this my way. Emma comes first. Always. If I think for 1 second this is hurting her, I'm out. Contract or no contract. There was a pause, then, agreed. And one more thing, don't ever lie to her. Kids know, they always know. I won't. Okay. He exhaled. When do we start? Tomorrow. We're getting married at City Hall. Quiet ceremony. Just us and 2 witnesses. After that, we announce it publicly. My parents will lose their minds, but that's the point. And then you move into my house, and we figure out how to make this look real. The wedding was surreal. Daniel wore the only suit he owned, 10 years old, slightly too tight in the shoulders. Victoria wore a simple cream dress, no veil, no flowers. The officiant rattled off the vows in under 5 minutes. When it was done, Victoria extended her hand. Daniel shook it. Welcome to the family, Mr. Carter, she said dryly. Yeah, he muttered. This is going to be a disaster. She almost smiled. Probably. The Ashford estate sat on 20 acres of manicured land outside the city. Daniel drove through the gates in his beat-up truck, Emma wide-eyed in the passenger seat. Is this where we're living, Daddy? She whispered. For a while, yeah. It looks like a castle. It kind of does, doesn't it? Victoria met them at the front door. She'd changed into slacks and a sweater. Still expensive, but more human. She knelt down to Emma's level. Hi, she said gently. You must be Emma. Emma hid behind Daniel's leg. She's shy, Daniel said quickly. That's okay. Victoria didn't push. She just smiled. I have a room ready for you, Emma. It has a big window that looks out at the garden. And there's a swing set outside if you like swings. Emma peeked out. A swing? 2, actually. I wasn't sure which kind you'd like. Can I see? Victoria looked at Daniel. He nodded. Come on, Victoria said, standing. I'll show you. As they walked through the house, Daniel felt the weight of the chandeliers, the marble floors, the art on the walls. Everything here cost more than he'd made in his entire life. This wasn't his world. But Emma was smiling, and that was enough. That night after Emma was asleep, Daniel found Victoria in the study. She was staring at a pile of legal documents, a glass of wine untouched beside her. She's a sweet kid, Victoria said without looking up. She is. She looks like you. She has her mother's eyes. Daniel hesitated. My wife died when Emma was 2, cancer. Victoria finally looked at him. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. Silence settled between them. I meant what I said, Daniel added. She comes first. I know. Victoria set down her pen. And I meant what I said too. I won't lie to her, but Daniel... She paused, choosing her words carefully. This arrangement only works if we're on the same page. My parents are going to come after us. Hard. We need to be united. Can you do that? I can. Good. She picked up a folder and handed it to him. These are the details of our public appearances. Galas, charity events, family dinners. It's going to be exhausting, and they're going to try to humiliate you. Can you handle that? Daniel met her eyes. Lady, I've been humiliated by worse than rich people in suits. I'll survive. For the first time, Victoria smiled. Really smiled. I think we might actually pull this off, she said. Daniel wasn't so sure, but he was here now, and there was no going back. The first week was awkward. Daniel felt like a guest in a museum. He was afraid to touch anything, afraid to sit on furniture that probably cost more than his truck. Victoria was polite but distant, spending most of her time in her home office, buried in work. They passed each other in hallways like strangers. Emma was the bridge. On the 3rd morning, Daniel found his daughter standing outside Victoria's office door, clutching her stuffed rabbit. What are you doing, sweetheart? He asked. I want to ask Miss Victoria something. She's working, Em. Let's not bother her. But the door opened. Victoria stood there, reading glasses perched on her nose, looking tired but alert. Her eyes softened when she saw Emma. Hi, Victoria said quietly. Emma held up her rabbit. His name is Mr. Hoppy. He wanted to meet you. Victoria crouched down, utterly serious. It's very nice to meet you, Mr. Hoppy. She looked at Emma. Does he like carrots? Emma giggled. He's not a real rabbit. Oh, my mistake. Victoria smiled. What can I do for you? Daddy said you have a garden. Can I see it? Victoria glanced at Daniel. He shrugged, helpless. I'd love to show you, Victoria said. She stood and extended her hand. Come on. Emma took it without hesitation. Daniel watched them walk down the hall together, something tightening in his chest. The garden became Emma's favorite place. Every afternoon, after her homeschool lessons, she'd run outside to the flower beds. Victoria started joining her. At first, Daniel thought it was just politeness, an obligation. But then he noticed the way Victoria's face changed when she was with Emma. The corporate mask slipped. She laughed. She got dirt on her expensive clothes and didn't care. One evening, Daniel came outside to find them planting tulip bulbs together. These won't bloom until spring, Victoria was saying. But when they do, they'll be beautiful. Red and yellow. Your favorite colors, right? Emma nodded enthusiastically. Will we still be here in spring? Victoria hesitated. Her eyes flicked to Daniel. I hope so, she said softly. Emma beamed. Me too. That night, after Emma was in bed, Daniel found Victoria on the back terrace, staring at the garden. You're good with her, he said. Victoria didn't turn around. She makes it easy. Still, you didn't have to do all this, the garden, the swing set, the way you talk to her. It's more than the contract asked for. Maybe I wanted to. Victoria's voice was quiet. I never had this growing up. My parents hired nannies, tutors. I went to boarding school when I was 7. I learned how to run a company before I learned how to make a friend. She paused. Emma reminds me what it's like to just be a kid. I'd forgotten. Daniel moved closer. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone cold, selfish. Someone who saw people as transactions. Victoria finally looked at him. And now I think you're just lonely. Her expression flickered. Vulnerable, raw. Then she looked away. "We should go inside," she said. "Early meeting tomorrow." But she didn't move, and neither did Daniel. The first public appearance was a charity gala at the Riverside Grand Hotel. Black tie, 1,000 guests, cameras everywhere. Daniel felt like an imposter. Victoria had insisted on buying him a proper tuxedo. It fit perfectly, but it didn't change what he was. A construction worker playing dress-up in a world that would never accept him. "You look fine," Victoria said as they arrived. She wore a midnight blue gown, hair swept up, diamonds at her throat. She looked untouchable. "I look like I'm about to rob the place," Daniel muttered. She almost smiled. "Just stay close to me, smile when you need to, and if anyone asks you a question you don't want to answer, redirect to me." "Got it." They walked in together, her hand on his arm. The whispers started immediately. "Is that Victoria Ashford? Who's the guy? I heard she got married." "Some nobody." Daniel's jaw tightened. Victoria squeezed his arm. "Ignore them. Easy for you to say." "No," she said quietly. "It's not." They made their way through the crowd. People congratulated Victoria with plastic smiles and predatory eyes. They looked at Daniel like he was a stain on expensive fabric. Then her parents arrived. Margaret and Charles Ashford moved through the ballroom like royalty. Margaret was tall, blonde, surgically perfect. Charles was silver-haired, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who commanded rooms without speaking. They zeroed in on Victoria immediately. "Darling," Margaret said, kissing the air beside Victoria's cheek. "You look lovely, though I wish you'd told us you were coming tonight. We could have coordinated." "Hello, Mother." Margaret's eyes slid to Daniel. Her smile didn't waver, but her gaze turned to ice. "And you must be the husband, Daniel Carter." He extended his hand. She looked at it like it might be diseased. Charles shook it instead, his grip crushing. "Pleasure," Charles said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "Victoria, we need to talk privately. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of Daniel." Margaret's smile thinned. "Very well. What on earth were you thinking? Marrying some tradesman without even consulting us? I'm 30 years old, I don't need your permission. You needed our guidance. This is humiliating, Victoria. Do you have any idea what people are saying?" "I don't care what people are saying." "Well, you should." Charles stepped forward. "This marriage is a joke. Everyone knows it. You're making a mockery of this family." Daniel felt his temper flare. "With all due respect, sir, I wasn't speaking to you." Charles cut him off. Victoria's hand found Daniel's. She laced her fingers through his, and the gesture was so deliberate, so public, that the people nearby turned to stare. "Daniel is my husband," Victoria said, her voice steady and cold. "And if you ever disrespect him again, you won't be welcome in my home. Are we clear?" Margaret gasped. "Victoria, are we clear?" Charles's face darkened. "You'll regret this." "Maybe, but it'll be my regret, not yours." She turned and walked away, pulling Daniel with her. They didn't speak until they reached the terrace outside. The night air was cool. The city glittered below them. "You didn't have to do that," Daniel said. "Yes, I did." Victoria's hands were shaking. She gripped the railing. "I'm so tired of them, of everyone. They think they own me. They don't. I know." She looked at him. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being here. For not running when they showed their teeth." Daniel moved closer. "I told you I keep my word." Victoria's eyes searched his face. The noise from the gala was distant now. Out here, it was just the two of them. "Daniel," she said softly, "I need you to know something. This isn't just business anymore. Not for me." His heart kicked in his chest. "Victoria, I know what we agreed. I know the rules, but Emma," her voice cracked, "she's the best thing that's happened to me in years. And you?" She stopped, shaking her head. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let people in." "You're doing fine." "Am I?" He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was gentle, intimate. Her breath caught. "Yeah," he said quietly. "You are." She leaned into his touch, just slightly. And for a moment, the world narrowed to just this, just them. Then Daniel pulled back. "We should go back inside," he said, his voice rough. Victoria blinked, the spell broken. "Right, of course." But as they walked back together, something had shifted, and they both knew it. 2 weeks later, Emma got sick. It started with a fever. Nothing serious, Daniel told himself, just a cold. But by the second night she was crying, clutching her stomach, and Daniel's old fear roared back to life. "We need to take her to the hospital," he said, scooping Emma into his arms. Victoria was already grabbing her keys. "I'll drive." They made it to Riverside General in under 20 minutes. The doctors ran tests. Hours passed. Daniel paced the waiting room, his mind spiraling into every worst-case scenario. Victoria sat beside him, silent. Then, quietly, she took his hand. "She's going to be okay," she said. "You don't know that. I believe it, and so should you." When the doctor finally came out, Daniel's knees nearly buckled. "It's not a relapse," the doctor said. "Just a bad stomach virus. We'll keep her overnight for observation, but she's going to be fine." Daniel exhaled, the relief so intense it hurt. Victoria's hand tightened around his. That night they stayed at the hospital. Emma slept fitfully, and Daniel sat beside her bed, unwilling to leave. Victoria brought him coffee from the vending machine. "You should go home," he said. "Get some rest." "I'm not leaving." "Victoria, she's my family too, Daniel." Her voice was fierce. "Don't ask me to leave." He looked at her, really looked at her. The exhaustion in her eyes, the worry, the love. "Okay," he said softly. She sat down beside him, and they stayed like that through the night. Together. A month passed. Emma recovered fully. The household settled into a rhythm. Daniel started helping around the estate, fixing things, building a treehouse for Emma. Victoria joined them for dinners. They laughed. They talked. They became something that looked from the outside like a real family. One Saturday, Daniel found Victoria in the library, reading to Emma. "And the princess realized," Victoria was saying, "that she didn't need a prince to save her. She could save herself." Emma clapped. "I like that story." "Me too," Victoria said, smiling. Daniel leaned against the doorway, something warm and terrifying blooming in his chest. This was supposed to be fake, but it didn't feel fake anymore. That night, after Emma was asleep, Daniel found Victoria on the terrace again. Their spot. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Always. Do you ever regret this, the marriage, the deal, all of it?" Victoria turned to face him. The moonlight caught her features, softening them. "Every day," she said honestly, "but not for the reasons you think." "What do you mean?" "I regret that it's temporary. I regret that there's an end date. I regret that when this year is over, you and Emma will leave, and I'll go back to being alone." Her voice wavered. "I didn't expect to care this much." Daniel's breath caught. "Victoria, I know what you're going to say. That this was the deal. That we agreed to keep it professional, and you're right, but Daniel..." She stepped closer. "I can't pretend anymore. I can't pretend that this is just business. Because when I look at you, when I see you with Emma, when I hear you laugh at something ridiculous," she said. Her eyes shimmered. "I don't want this to end." Daniel closed the distance between them. He cupped her face in his hands. "Then let's not let it end," he said, and he kissed her. It was soft, tentative, a question more than an answer. Victoria kissed him back, her hands fisting in his shirt, and the question became a promise. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Victoria rested her forehead against his. "What are we doing?" she whispered. "Something real," Daniel said. "For the first time in a long time." She smiled, and for once it reached her eyes. For 3 weeks they lived in a fragile kind of happiness. Daniel and Victoria didn't announce the shift in their relationship. They didn't need to. It was in the way she touched his shoulder when she passed him in the kitchen, the way he kissed her forehead before leaving for errands, the way Emma started calling Victoria Vicky without anyone asking her to. They were careful around Emma. No grand declarations, just warmth, presence, a family forming in real time. But outside the walls of the estate, the Ashfords were sharpening their knives. It started with a phone call. Daniel was in the garage working on Emma's bike when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Hello? Mr. Carter." The voice was smooth, professional, and utterly cold. "My name is Richard Langford. I believe we should talk." Daniel straightened. He knew that name. The man Victoria's parents had wanted her to marry. "I don't think we have anything to discuss," Daniel said. "On the contrary, I think you'll want to hear what I have to say, especially if you care about your daughter." Daniel's blood went cold. "What did you just say?" "Meet me, tomorrow, noon, the cafe on 5th and Main. Come alone." The line went dead. Daniel told Victoria that night. She went pale. He threatened Emma? Not directly, but the implication was clear. Victoria paced the study, fury radiating off her. This is my parents. They're using Richard as a proxy. They think if they scare you enough, you'll leave. Maybe I should. She stopped. What? Victoria, these people have power. Money, lawyers. If they come after Emma, they won't. You don't know that. Then we fight them. She crossed to him, gripping his arms. Daniel, listen to me. We're not running. We're not giving them what they want. We face this together. He wanted to believe her, but the fear was too old, too deep. I'll go meet him, Daniel said, see what he wants. I'm coming with you. No. If he thinks you're controlling me, it'll make it worse. I need to handle this. Victoria's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Fine, but you wear a wire. I want to hear every word. The cafe was upscale. White tablecloths, espresso machines hissing. Richard Langford sat in the corner booth looking like he owned the place. Mid-40s, tailored suit, silver at his temples. Handsome in a cold, calculating way. Daniel slid into the seat across from him. Mr. Carter, Richard said, smiling. Thank you for coming. Let's skip the pleasantries. What do you want? Richard leaned back, sipping his coffee. I want Victoria, but you already know that. She's not interested. She doesn't know what she wants. She's confused. Playing house with a man so far beneath her, it's embarrassing. His smile didn't waver, but I don't blame her. She's always been impulsive, rebellious. It's almost charming. Daniel's fists clenched under the table. Get to the point. The point is this. You're out of your depth. Victoria's parents are prepared to destroy you. They've already hired investigators. Did you know that? They're digging into your finances, your work history, your custody arrangement with Emma. Richard tilted his head. Interesting case, by the way. Your ex-mother-in-law has been trying to take Emma for years. One phone call from the Ashfords, and that judge will rule in her favor. You'll lose your daughter. Daniel's heart hammered. You're lying. Am I? Richard slid a folder across the table. Look for yourself. Daniel opened it. Court documents, financial records, photos of him and Emma, a case file with Margaret Ashford's name as a consulting witness. They're building a profile, Richard said. Unfit father, financially unstable, living off his wife's money. It won't be hard to convince a judge. Daniel's hands shook. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm offering you a way out. Walk away. Divorce Victoria quietly. Take the money from the prenup and disappear. Rebuild your life somewhere else with Emma. No custody battle, no scandal. Just gone. And if I don't? Richard's smile turned sharp. Then they'll make sure you lose everything, your daughter, your dignity. And Victoria? She'll watch it happen and won't be able to stop it. Is that really what you want for her? Daniel drove home in a daze. Victoria was waiting in the foyer. What did he say? Daniel handed her the folder. She read through it, her face going from pale to furious. This is illegal. Half of this was obtained without warrants. It doesn't matter if it's illegal if it works, Daniel said quietly. Victoria, they're going to take Emma. We'll fight them. I'll hire the best lawyers and drag this out for months, years, while Emma sits in the middle of a custody war. Daniel's voice cracked. She's 6 years old. She's been through enough. So what are you saying? He couldn't look at her. Maybe Richard's right. Maybe I should leave. Take Emma somewhere they can't find us. No. Victoria's voice was steel. Absolutely not. Victoria, no. She grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. You don't get to do this. You don't get to run because you're scared. I'm not scared for me. I'm scared for her, for you. Then let me be scared too. Tears streamed down her face. Let me fight for you, for Emma, for us. Don't you see? That's what they want. They want you to believe you're not worth fighting for. But you are. You are worth everything. Daniel pulled her hands away, his own eyes wet. I can't let them hurt you. They're already hurting me. By hurting you. He shook his head. I need time to think. Daniel. But he was already walking toward the stairs. For 2 days, Daniel barely spoke. He went through the motions, making breakfast for Emma, helping her with homework, reading bedtime stories. But Victoria could see the distance in his eyes, the decision forming. On the 3rd night, she found him packing. What are you doing? She whispered. What I should have done from the start. He didn't look at her. Emma and I are leaving tonight. You can't. Watch me. Daniel, please. I'm sorry, Victoria. His voice was hollow. This was always temporary. We both knew that. That was before what? Before I fell in love with you. He finally looked at her and the pain in his eyes was devastating. Yeah, I did. I fell in love with you, and that's exactly why I have to go. Because if I stay, they'll destroy you. They'll take Emma. And I won't survive that. Neither will you. Victoria's breath hitched. So you're just going to leave, without even fighting? I'm leaving because I'm fighting. For Emma. For you. Even if you hate me for it. I could never hate you. Give it time. He zipped the bag and turned to face her. I need you to do something for me. I need you to let me go. Don't look for me. Don't fight this, just move on. Marry someone from your world. Be happy. I can't be happy without you. You'll learn. He walked past her and she didn't stop him, because she knew in that moment that he'd already made up his mind. Daniel carried the suitcases to his truck. Emma was asleep in the back seat, bundled in blankets. He'd told her they were going on an adventure. She'd smiled, trusting him completely. It broke his heart. He was about to start the engine when the front door of the estate opened. Victoria stood there, silhouetted by the light. She didn't say anything, didn't beg him to stay. She just watched. And Daniel drove away. The next morning, Victoria sat in her study, staring at the divorce papers her lawyer had drawn up. Per the contract, Daniel was entitled to the full $500,000. She'd already transferred it. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Good riddance. Now you can fix this mess properly. Richard is waiting. Victoria threw the phone across the room. Then she put her head in her hands and sobbed. 2 weeks later, Daniel was living in a motel 3 states away. Emma asked about Victoria every night. When are we going back to Vicky's house, Daddy? We're not, sweetheart. Why not? Because sometimes people have to say goodbye, even when they don't want to. Did Vicky want to say goodbye? Daniel's throat tightened. No. Then why did we leave? He didn't have an answer. Emma cried herself to sleep that night. Daniel sat beside her bed watching her, hating himself. He pulled out his phone, opened the photo gallery. Pictures of Victoria and Emma in the garden. Victoria reading to Emma. Victoria laughing at something ridiculous Daniel had said. He'd thought leaving would protect them, but all he'd done was break 3 hearts instead of 1. At the Ashford estate, Victoria walked through the empty halls. Emma's room was untouched. The treehouse Daniel had built stood silent in the yard. She'd won her inheritance. The lawyers had confirmed it. $12 billion. It meant nothing. She stood in the library, looking at the book she'd been reading to Emma the last night they were together. And she realized something. She'd spent her whole life being told she wasn't allowed to fight for what she wanted. But Daniel had fought for her, for Emma. Now it was her turn to fight for them. She picked up her phone and called her lawyer. I need you to find someone for me, she said. And I don't care what it costs. Daniel had been gone for 3 weeks when Emma stopped eating. Not dramatically, not all at once, but day by day she picked at her food. Her smiles grew rarer, and the light in her eyes dimmed. I miss Vicky, she said one morning, staring at her untouched cereal. I know, baby. Why can't we call her? It's complicated. That's what grown-ups say when they don't want to tell the truth. Emma looked at him with those big, knowing eyes. You're sad too, Daddy. I can see it. Daniel's chest ached. Yeah, I am. Then why did we leave? He'd asked himself that question 1,000 times. At first, the answer had been clear. To protect them. But now, sitting in this dingy motel room, watching his daughter fade, he wasn't sure anymore. I thought I was doing the right thing, he said quietly. Mommy used to say the right thing is the thing that makes people happy, not the thing that makes people sad. Daniel froze. Emma rarely talked about her mother. The memories were too vague, too distant. She said that? He whispered. Emma nodded. I don't remember her face anymore, but I remember that. She looked down. And I remember Vicky's face. I don't want to forget her too. Something broke inside Daniel. All this time he'd thought leaving was protecting Emma from pain, but he'd just traded one pain for another. Worse, he'd taught her that love meant running away. Emma, he said, kneeling in front of her. What if I told you I made a mistake? What if leaving wasn't the right thing after all? Her eyes lit up. Can we go back? I don't know if Victoria will forgive me. She will. She loves you. How do you know? Because she looks at you the way you look at her. Like she's scared to blink because you might disappear. Emma took his hand. And she was right, Daddy. You did disappear. Daniel pulled his daughter into his arms, holding her tight. "Okay," he said. "Okay. We're going home." But when Daniel called Victoria's number, it went straight to voicemail. He tried again and again. Nothing. Panic set in. What if she'd moved on? What if she'd married Richard after all? He called the estate. A housekeeper answered. "I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, but Ms. Ashford isn't here." "Where is she?" "I'm not at liberty to say." "Please, it's important." There was a pause. Then quietly, "She's at the Riverside Convention Center. There's a charity gala tonight, the biggest one of the year. But sir, she's not alone." Daniel's heart sank. "Richard?" "I'm afraid so. Her parents have been pushing for an announcement, an engagement." Daniel hung up and looked at Emma. "How do you feel about crashing a fancy party?" Emma grinned. "Let's go get Vicky." The Riverside Convention Center was a fortress of wealth. Limousines lined the entrance. Men in tuxedos and women in gowns glittered under chandeliers. Security was tight. Daniel, in jeans and a button-down shirt, with Emma in her favorite dress, looked wildly out of place. "Sir, this is a private event," the security guard said. "I know, but my wife is in there." "Your wife?" "Victoria Ashford. I'm Daniel Carter, her husband." The guard checked his tablet, frowning. "You're not on the guest list." "I know, because I'm an idiot who left her. But I'm here now, and I need to see her. Please." The guard hesitated. Then a voice came from behind them. "Let him through." Daniel turned. An older woman in an elegant gown stood there, one of the event coordinators. She looked familiar. "You're the one who fixed the sound system at last year's event," she said. "Victoria talked about you, said you were the only honest man she'd ever met." She smiled sadly. "Go on. But you'd better make this count." The ballroom was massive. 1,000 people mingled under crystal chandeliers. A string quartet played softly, and at the center of it all, on a raised platform, stood Victoria. She wore a white gown. Her hair was swept up. She looked like a queen. And beside her, holding her hand, was Richard Langford. Margaret and Charles Ashford stood nearby, beaming. Daniel's stomach dropped. He was too late. But then Victoria's eyes found his across the room. She froze. Their gazes locked, and for a moment the entire ballroom seemed to disappear. There was only her, only him, and the choice she had to make. Victoria's heart stopped. Daniel, here, with Emma. She'd spent weeks trying to find them. Her investigators had turned up nothing. She'd convinced herself that he was gone forever, that she'd lost him. But here he was. And suddenly, nothing else mattered. "Victoria?" Richard said beside her. "Are you all right?" She didn't answer. She was already moving, stepping off the platform, ignoring her parents' shocked protests. The crowd parted as she walked toward Daniel. Whispers erupted. Cameras flashed. She didn't care. When she reached him, she stopped, breathless. "You came back." "I never should have left," Daniel said, his voice raw. "I was wrong, about everything. I thought leaving would protect you and Emma, but all I did was hurt the people I love most." "Daniel, let me finish, please." He took a breath. "I spent my whole life thinking I wasn't good enough. Not for my wife when she was alive. Not for Emma when I couldn't save her mother. And definitely not for you. But Emma reminded me of something. Love isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. It's about fighting, even when you're terrified." Tears streamed down Victoria's face. "So I'm here," Daniel continued, "in front of all these people who think I'm not good enough for you. And maybe they're right. But Victoria, I love you. I love you so much it scares me. And I don't want to run anymore. I want to stay. I want to build a life with you, a real one, not a contract, not a deal. Just us." The ballroom was silent. Victoria looked at him. This man who'd crashed her world and changed everything. This man who'd taught her what it meant to be loved without conditions. "You're right," she said softly. "You're not perfect." Daniel's face fell. "But neither am I," Victoria continued, stepping closer. "I'm controlling. I'm scared of being vulnerable. I spent 30 years building walls so high I forgot what it was like to let someone in." She cupped his face. "And then you showed up. You and Emma. And you didn't just climb my walls. You made me want to tear them down." She turned to face the crowd. Her parents. Richard. Every judgmental face in the room. "For those of you who don't know," she said, her voice carrying, "this is Daniel Carter, my husband, the man I love, And yes, he's a construction worker. Yes, he doesn't come from money. Yes, he's everything my parents told me I shouldn't want. She looked back at Daniel. But he's also kind, honest, brave. He's an incredible father. And he sees me, not my money, not my name, just me. Margaret stepped forward, her face red. Victoria, this is humiliating. No, Mother. What's humiliating is spending your entire life trying to control mine. But I'm done. I'm done pretending to be someone I'm not. I'm done letting you dictate my happiness. She turned to Richard. I'm sorry. You deserve someone who loves you. But that's not me. Richard's jaw tightened, but he nodded curtly. Good luck, he said, and walked away. Victoria faced her parents. I love you, but if you can't accept Daniel and Emma, then you're not welcome in my life. Charles's face darkened. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. Whether from anger or sadness, Victoria couldn't tell, but she didn't wait to find out. She turned back to Daniel. I found you, she said. 2 days ago. My investigators tracked you to that motel. I was coming for you tomorrow. I was going to show up and beg you to come home. Daniel stared. You were? Of course I was. Did you really think I'd let you go without a fight? I thought you'd moved on. I could never move on from you. She took his hands. Daniel Carter, I know we've done this backward. We got married before we fell in love. But I'm asking you now, in front of all these people, will you stay? Will you build a life with me? A real one? Daniel's eyes shone. Yes. God. Yes. And he kissed her. The ballroom erupted. Some applauded. Some gasped. Victoria's parents stormed out. But Daniel and Victoria didn't notice. Because they were finally home. Emma tugged on Victoria's dress. Does this mean we can go back to the house with the swings? Victoria laughed, scooping Emma into her arms. Yes, sweetheart. We're all going home. Emma threw her arms around Victoria's neck. I missed you, Vicky. I missed you too, Emma, so much. Daniel wrapped his arms around both of them, and for the first time in weeks, he felt whole. 6 months later, the Ashford estate had changed. Daniel had insisted they downsize, not leave entirely, but make it feel less like a museum and more like a home. They'd converted one wing into a workshop where Daniel built furniture. Emma's treehouse had a fresh coat of paint. The garden was wilder now, full of flowers Emma and Victoria planted together. Victoria still ran her company, but she worked from home more often. Family dinners became sacred. Bedtime stories were non-negotiable. And every night after Emma was asleep, Daniel and Victoria sat on the terrace, their spot, and talked about everything and nothing. One evening, Victoria showed Daniel a letter. My grandfather left this, she said. My lawyers just found it in his estate files. Daniel read it aloud. To my granddaughter, I know your parents will try to control you, they always have. But I didn't leave you this fortune so you could be their puppet. I left it so you could be free. Marry for love, Victoria. Not obligation. And if you're reading this, I hope you did. Daniel looked up, his throat tight. He knew. Victoria smiled. He would have liked you. You think? I know. She leaned into him. He believed in second chances, in choosing happiness over expectation. She paused. I wish he could have met Emma. Me too. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Daniel, Victoria said after a while. Yeah, thank you. For what? For coming back, for fighting, for loving me even when I didn't know how to love myself. Daniel kissed her forehead. Always. Inside, Emma was supposed to be asleep, but she was peeking out the window, watching her father and Victoria on the terrace. She smiled. Her family was whole again, and this time she knew they'd never leave each other. Not ever again.